and I'm grateful.
Well, it's sort of the same thing with a Fireball and a cider.
That's
Isn't Fireball bourbon?
Mm.
yeah, it's essentially the same principle.
Okay, then I have had that because I have had the Fireball. But Fireball is its own thing. Like I don't
Yeah,
think a Fireball is anything but Fireball.
no, it's definitely its own special kind of bourbon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like
And we are
I don't even think of it as a bourbon. I think of like you, Obo. I think of it as Fireball.
Yeah.
it's its own category of thing. Like Jack Daniel's is technically Tennessee whiskey, but people don't think of it as a bourbon because it's not really a bourbon.
Yeah, but it's a little bit closer. Fireball, because of the spiciness, is such a distinct thing that it's the spicy is more important than what the classification of liquor that it is.
Indeed. I just need a liquor chart or something.
Don't we all need a liquor chart?
Liquor world map.
No. One of those diagrams where it's like start here. Okay, what would you like to drink? Something sweet, something sour, something spicy. Do you want to get drunk? Do you want wine? Like one of those split off diagrams that kind of just lead you in the direction of what you want to drink when
A
you
flow
don't
chart.
know.
Yeah.
Thank you, flowchart. Words. It's like I need words on a podcast or something.
So speaking of charts and maps and world maps and such, Cusworth, Nick, in his apartment, he has a map of like all the different beer variations that kind of branches out. India Pale Ales, Pilsners, Lagers, all that kind of stuff that branches, and it shows the different brands that represent those. I also thought
Nice.
that was kind of neat.
No, that's definitely helpful. I mean, that's kind of the kind of thing you'd probably have up in a dorm room, but I still kind of want one.
Guys, do I sound pretty?
You sound so pretty.
Aw, thanks. Cool, sound quality's good, man.
How do I sound? I haven't used this headset in a while, but
Oh, pretty
desperate
cool.
times.
Yeah, considering it's a headset, you're pretty good.
Logitech makes decent stuff, and desperate times call for desperate measures. Because it was either this or I couldn't come today.
That's fair enough. I mean, given those choices, you made the right choice. I'm actually using Skull Candy earbuds instead of my usual headphones, so I'm hoping that doesn't interfere with things too much. But honestly, the Logitech headset that I have, it hurts my ears after like an hour. So
Oh,
these will be a little more comfortable, I think.
that's too bad because I usually really like Logitech stuff, so it kind of sucks that you would have that problem.
I mean, it is a few years old. I think it's from the Bush administration, but who knows? Not that the Bush administration made my headset.
Hi, I'm Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Jack.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are Glib Shark. Tonight, a look back at the 80s syndicated sitcom It's a Living. But first, as always, we have the lovely, the talented, the amazing Obo Crazy here to do a little something we call This Week in Geek. How are you, Lauren?
I'm okay. I'm doing 10 things at once and doing them all badly. But hey, at least I'm multitasking. First, since we opened the show talking about booze, I think it's very appropriate that I talk about the booze being sent to the International Space Station. That's right. They're sending a whole crate of alcohol to the ISS, but it's not what you think. Sadly, no, the astronauts are not going to be able to actually drink while they're on the ISS, which is kind of sad because it sounds like what they're getting is some really nice whiskey. Tokyo-based Suntroy Whiskey, which is part of the Suntroy Global Innovations Center, has launched a case of alcoholic beverages up to the ISS to see how the drinks will react in weightlessness, specifically how they might, quote, mellow. The stock includes 5 different types of distilled spirits, and yeah, they want them back whole and unopened. According to Space, the science project aims specifically to determine how the mellowness of spirits is affected by microgravity and the lack of convection. The Suntroy company produces several popular products, including Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, and Canadians Club, plus Hornotos Tequila and Midori. So here's the official company statement, quote, with the exception of some items like beer, alcoholic beverages are widely known to develop a mellow flavor when aged for a long time, although researchers have taken a variety of scientific approaches to elucidating the underlying mechanism. We still do not have a full picture of how this occurs. Our company has hypothesized that the formation of high-dimensional molecular structure consisting of water, ethanol, and other ingredients in alcoholic beverages contributes to the development of mellowness, and we have been conducting collaborative research on this topic, end quote. My favorite part of this whole thing is how it all talks about being mellow, and I just want to sing several songs. Moving from mellowness to people who are certainly not mellow. Uh, if you like Pokemon, don't bring guns to a Pokemon championship. Just don't. I, I, I don't believe I need to say this, but apparently I do. Two men who drove from Iowa to Boston for the Pokemon World Championships were arrested on Friday after seemingly threatening violence over social media against attendees of the event, according to the Boston Police Department. Kevin Norton and James Strumbo were arrested on several firearms related charges. The official Pokemon site lists both of them from the United States as invitees to the quote Masters division of the World Championships of the Pokemon trading card game. Yeah, they basically got a whole bunch of guns and tweeted a pic, or I'm sorry, I think it was Facebook. Yeah, they put on Facebook an image of the guns and said that they were going to the Pokemon Championship with a picture of the guns. Because that's what you bring to a card game is an AR-15 rifle, a 12 gauge shotgun, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. You know, just in case a blue eyes white dragon shows up. Yeah, don't bring guns. They claim that this is all just a big misunderstanding and they were stopped before even entering the facility because, hey, when you put on Facebook that you're bringing a bunch of guns to a Pokemon party, guess what? The security people who are watching the convention center are going to keep you from walking inside. Ugh, yeah, don't bring guns to a card game. Finally, in our feel good story of the day, if you are not familiar with the 501st, they are a basically, if you are at any convention and you see a bunch of stormtroopers wandering around, they're probably members of the 501st Legion. They are an active group of nerds who dress up mostly as stormtroopers, but as a variety of Empire-related people and bounty hunters and officers, and half the time they spend making Austrian costumes, and the other half of the time they basically do awesome things for their communities. It's an excuse to go help out community people and awesome people while wearing stormtrooper armor. Now, none of that is news. This has been going on for practically decades. What I didn't know is that they apparently a bunch of years ago made a small suit of armor for a girl named Katie who had been bullied at school for liking Star Wars. And they showed up and made her this custom little girl armor and gave her a whole bunch of pep talks and fun stuff and basically made her feel like she didn't have to be ashamed of her watching Star Wars, which is awesome. Well, Katie started to grow out of this armor. And now there's another girl, Allison, who got bullied and attacked for liking Star Wars and Spider-Man. So Katie passed her armor on to Allison. And so Allison got to wear the armor and get visited by the 501st and get a whole pep talk about how she can be awesome and girls can like awesome things like Star Wars. So now two girls have gotten this. And then Allison started to grow up. And now there's the latest girl, Layla, who once again was her mom, I think, went on Facebook and said, you know, this poor girl's being bullied for she had a backpack that was Chewbacca and basically loved Star Wars and was getting bullied by the boys in her class, not for liking Star Wars, but hey, you're a girl, you can't like Star Wars. Star Wars is just for boys. So Katie had given the armor to Allison, and so Allison gave the armor to Layla, and the 501st showed up and were like, you're awesome, and you shouldn't be afraid to like the things you like. And then because the 501st happened to be in town to participate in a Weird Al Yankovic concert, they took her along. And so she got to go and see a Weird Al Yankovic concert and meet Weird Al Yankovic in her Stormtrooper armor, which is just awesome. If you go on, I found the article on IO9, but it's kind of all over the place. Just go look for Girl Bullied for liking Star Wars and you'll see it. She is adorable and the pictures are just amazing. So there you go. There's just this little girl-sized suit of armor that the 501st just passes around to little girls who need a not just a literal but a metaphorical suit of armor. And I like them more every single day. That's all for This Week in Geek. I'm Obo Crazy, and I wish I had a metaphorical suit of armor when I was young.
The world is indeed a strange, although increasingly fair place. If you have a fact you want read live and on the air, you can send it to Lauren at obocrazy.com. Wow, kind of stumbled over that one.
You can send it to all the Laurens, every
You can send
Lauren.
it to every Lauren ever, but if you send it to Lauren at obocrazy.com, it may appear on an episode of Glipshark. And while you're at it, go to glipshark.com, the house of all of our content. But before we move on from this, I wanted to talk about a story, something that happened to me on Sunday, or something I observed on Sunday, I should say. So in Kerala right now, which is the part of India my family's from, they're celebrating the feast of Onam. Onam is like a harvest festival. It celebrates plenty and prosperity. The story of it, I may have explained in past episodes. I'm not going to get into it now. But we had our celebration at church. And while I'm hanging back in the choir, I see one of our kids. He's like 2 years old. He's a boy, but he's holding like a little doll. And at first thought, I'm like, well, that's a little odd. And because I grew up in Reagan's America, that's kind of, it's not normal necessarily, not normal or not the usual thing to see a little boy playing with, not like a little baby doll. And then I realized more little boys should be playing with baby dolls. What do you learn when you're playing with those things? When you're learning, you're nurturing them, you're caring them, you're loving them. And I'm like, aren't these qualities that fathers should have? So it changed my whole view on things. It sort of totally changed the game on, toys, what should be for a boy and what should be for a girl. And I'd be proud to have a kid, a son who played with dolls and nurtured them and cared for them that way, or a daughter who played with Star Wars or Spider-Man. So it goes back to that old flow chart where it says, is this toy for a boy or a girl? And the first question, is it a sex toy? And the answer is yes, this toy is not meant for children. And the answer is no, either a boy or a girl can play with it.
Well, I think it was Target that recently announced that they're revamping their toys section and they're getting rid of the 4 girls and 4 boys distinction, and it's just going to be the toy department.
Like what you like. That's fair.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'm all for anyone playing with anything that they want to play with. I'm even for Barbies if people want to play with Barbies and have fun with that kind of stuff. It'd be nice if there was more variety and, you didn't have a female role model who was unattainable in real life as far as your proportions. But hey, you know what? They're toys.
Now you
Kids play with cars, and we don't expect them to grow up and think they can be a car. Kids play with all sorts of things that they can't logistically be, so why not? Make it for everybody.
I mean, I guess I'd be okay with Barbie, but I would prefer Kenya, because making her pretty makes me feel pretty too.
I played with both Barbies and G.I. Joe when I was growing up. Mostly I had large fights outside of I didn't have the Malibu Dream House, but I had some sort of small house, and I had Voltron. I had the whole setup of the 5 lions that you could then form into Voltron, which was awesome, and Voltron always won.
Nice. See, I had Ninja Turtle action figures when I was a kid. That was the big thing. I think Jonathan's generation might have been more G.I. Joe, Thundercats, Transformers. And my brother-in-law is kind of the same way. But I think I was in the sweet spot. When Ninja Turtles debuted, I was right about the perfect age to get into it. And I think I stayed with that franchise for years. I haven't seen the new movies yet because Michael Bay, but there's a soft spot in my heart for that franchise specifically. I caught like the tail end of Thundercats.
Yeah,
tail end of Thundercats.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles came out like right when I was getting into middle school, so that was a little late for toys. But I do remember the 7-Eleven right by middle school had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade machine. And so that was the coolest shit you could do when you were a middle schooler was go over to the 7-Eleven and play Ninja Turtles. And it was 4 players. So if you were that 5th one, as I normally was, then you just didn't get to play. Or you got to play as Raphael, who was the worst.
Yeah. No, I was always Donatello.
Well, yeah. I mean, you would want to be Donatello if you were soloing, but
oh yeah,
he was always the first one taken.
Yep. Staff for the win.
Yeah, I like playing with Raphael because Raphael was my favorite, so I could overcome the disadvantage of playing with that, and made me a better player at the game as a result.
And I did have the Nintendo game, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Nintendo game, which is widely considered to not be that good of a game.
Oh, the first
And
one? The first one was
yeah,
awful. Oh
the first one
gosh.
is yeah,
I can
and
still hear the music in my head. Do 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 boo boo doo boo 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 doo doo doo.
I
I
had
have
that on the
fond.
Commodore 64.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
Not even the Nintendo, the fucking Commodore 64.
I have very fond memories of that game, even though I think even as a small child, I knew it was not good.
Yeah, it was just so frustrating and just like, especially that like dam level where if you fell down, you had to start the whole thing over again. I think there's an Angry Video Game Nerd episode specifically about the original TNT game, although the arcade game more than made up for it.
Yeah, the arcade game was a lot of fun. That was I played that, and then Killer Instinct, and then anything that involved you sitting in a mech.
Ah, gosh. Yeah, you know, there's a long tradition of Joe Microbe kicking my ass at video games. When we first met, he actually just sort of mopped the floor with me in Fight Night 3. And last time we were at a PAX together, which I think was like 2 or 3 years ago, he was helping out with the podcast and doing camera work for us. And we went into the classic gaming lounge or whatever it was for console gaming. And we fired up Killer Instinct for the N64. And guess what Joe proceeded to do? Guess who was mopped up the floor with? Is that a good way to end a sentence with a preposition?
No, it's awful.
Hmm.
And you should be ashamed.
No, I'm not.
Shame.
Never.
Shame.
Shame. Shame.
My shame glands are under development.
I love how we just made that reference just casually. The shame reference.
We,
It's like,
so
not a big deal.
the other night, and this is something I hope will get up eventually, although the audio is a little wonky. I managed to play 2 hard mode raids with the folks over at the Rooster Speak server, and
nice.
yeah, we did Crota hard, and then we rolled into Vault of Glass hard, and then we did some Crucible, and I streamed and captured it all.
Nice.
The only problem is that the TeamSpeak audio is a little low. And I think I could go in and fix it. I may not be able to fix it on everything. But it's going to take some time. But after our Crota hard mode run, it was a couple of guys' first hard mode completion, so they didn't have Glowhoo before, which is a shader that you get from beating hard mode. We roll into the tower in our Glowhoos, and we're like running around. It's sort of like what you do with Vault of Glass. You run around the tower in Chatterwhite. It's the same thing, except with Glowhoo. And we were running around like taunting people and pointing at them and yelling shame. It's too bad they couldn't hear us.
Yeah. If the audio is unsalvageable, I have an alternate idea. Maybe I can just do voiceover dubs of my lame impersonations of all the people involved.
It's pretty. Yeah, there are 5 other voices, and they're all talking randomly. And plus, like, the reason why I stream and the reason why I do stuff like that is because what they say is funny.
It's true. I mean, it's not for. I mean, there are a million, Destiny videos out there on YouTube or what have you. How many have people that are actually entertaining to listen to? Not that many, I would venture.
I did make a reference to the Nightfall failure video that we posted.
Nice.
Night fail.
Yeah, it was. I think I called it. I was nice. I called it out of practice Nightfall.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I have sadly not played Destiny at all in a very long time. I think the last time I got on was to get on briefly to buy the Yallarhorn with the Yaller baller horn. Bought it and then got back off again. And afterwards I'm like, why did I do that if I'm not going to play with it?
So I have a story about the Yallarhorn.
Story us.
I do not have the Crota DLC or the House of Wolves DLC. So my options to get the Strange Coin were limited. Jonathan and everyone did their best to help me, and I tried some public events and things like that. And after everything said and done, I ended up 3 coins short by the time the thing ended, so I did not get my Yallarhorn. 2 days later, I check my mail. Guess what I get in the post from the postmaster?
A Yallarhorn?
No, 9 Strange Coin.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Which is, yes, except that I can't really do a whole lot with them now. Now the Yallarhorn sale is over, but next time it comes around, maybe at least I'm prepared. So I won't be spending them.
Well, you'll want to spend them on heavy ammo since, just in case you do decide to come with us. I have managed to take several of our friends to their first hard mode completions the other night, namely Jules and the night before then, Stephen and this was last week actually. Stephen and his little brother David did their first hard mode completions. It was David's first Crota run, and it was hard.
Oh gosh, I've never done
And
a Crota run.
he did just fine. He did well. And so last night we did the Dunkel Raid 3, and it was Jules, it was her first hard mode run, and it was David's second run ever. And I think it was someone else's first hard mode completion, someone else who was with us. But it took a little longer than normal, but we eventually got through it, and it was a ton of fun. And it's just with the triumphs thing that is showing up on everybody's Destiny profile. It's a lot of people are trying to get those last few triumphs. So we're talking Crota Hard, Skolas, stuff like that. And
Sure.
this week is actually a really good week to do Skolas. So I was telling Steven earlier that I'm probably going to be running Skolas a lot this week, hopefully, if all goes well.
And if it were a video, it titles itself perfectly. David goes to Destiny. Is this real life? No, it's a video game. Keep shooting. Teehee.
But yeah, we're trying to figure out how to get the most people with the most veterans to get everyone their runs. I know just from our circle of friends, Dop still hasn't gotten Skolas, and I think that's his last one. Same with Jules and Steven and David. So all those guys are going to be looking to do Skolas at some point.
Yeah. I think I'm out for Destiny this weekend because I have a very important trip to make. I am retrieving my wife.
Hey!
Yeah. I am super excited. We're talking about logistics to figure out how to fit all of her stuff in. I mean, it's not a tiny apartment, but she had basically a duplex. So she's downsizing a lot of her stuff. And the one downside to the apartment I have now is we don't have a lot in the way of closet space, which stinks. But we are finding our way around it. We are going to fight our way through. I have Monday and Tuesday off specifically to get this stuff done. And hopefully we'll have time to actually hang out and be in the same place as each other for the first time in 3 months. Well, I mean, we've been together, since then, but since the merge, I mean. 3 months. What's your secret, Jenka? We live in different states.
I can totally get on board with all of that hardship. And also, I hopefully will be moving that person into my life this weekend.
Hooray! Move redacted.
Yeah. Thumbs up for being in the same country as each other and state and all that funness. And oh God, we're poor. This whole thing has made us so poor.
It's funny, if you pushed my wife 25 miles to the west, she would be in Canada. So it's almost Canada.
Yeah, Canada is awesome.
It is. No
Yeah.
argument there.
I am giving up on going to PAX. Pretty much, at least for the first day or two. We'll probably be hanging out in Seattle, and hopefully I'll see some really good friends just in the Seattle area. But we sold our passes because
Yeah.
obviously Friday and Saturday are not going to happen, and we need the money. So
that's my.
if you happen to be at PAX, tell me when you're going to be hanging out outside the convention center, specifically at the Elephant and Castle. I have no money, but I have time.
So PAX East. Originally, my plan this year was to skip the actual convention, but head up with Unju to hang out in Boston, check out the sights and sounds and all that, and hang out with people who were in town that week. But I recently discovered, much to my surprise, that we might not be going to India in January as originally discussed. And if that's the case, that opens up PAX South.
Well, the tickets apparently go on sale September 16th, so be on the lookout. It doesn't sell out as quickly as the other PAXs, but it's still a PAX.
It's still a PAX.
And that one I will probably be going to as well. I'll at least be buying a ticket and making arrangements. I don't know if I'll actually go, but I will put myself in the position to go.
There you go. Oh. Well, I'll have to have a discussion with my better half once she comes here to figure out what we can do, what we can't do, how much we can do, and still eat food and pay rent.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to have that discussion. I'm just going to go.
There you go. You act the way America acts best. Unilaterally.
I don't give a fuck. It is going to be a little rough hearing stories and seeing tweets and seeing pictures and not being there. I think this is the first Prime since 2010 that I've missed. So it's a little bittersweet because I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I'm going to be seeing a lot of people here soon at a little event, and I'm looking forward to that. But at the same time, it's going to be rough not being on the ground in Seattle. Like, and Jack, I believe, has seen this. No, you haven't. I was hanging out with someone at PAX Prime, and it may have been, I think it was Larry. It was Larry and our good friend Jabberwocky. And we were walking down Pike, right there underneath the convention center. And I'm like, yeah, I always run into people here. Like, of all the places where I see Nika Harper, I see her on this street. I turn around, fucking Nika Harper right there.
Wow.
And so she gives me a big hug. I give her a big hug. She punches me in the arm for not getting in contact more and stuff. But it's just so much fun. There's a magic to Seattle during PAX time, and it's going to be a bummer not being there.
Yeah, as much as it sucks that Luke and I are not going to have passes, we do have, whatever weekend we have that's not going to be spent moving shit. We're planning on hanging out in the area. I know last year we practically spent all of Monday at the Elephant and Castle, basically just sitting outside, and had this rotating cadre of friends come by, or maybe it was 2 years ago because Elephant and Castle just reopened. I know they are open this year, but basically we just sat around and had friends come by and just, have a drink, have a snack, and chat for an hour or two. And then new people would come on by. And I don't think we actually walked into the convention center all day on Monday, but it is sad that this will be the first Rooster Teeth panel at PAX Prime that I'll be missing in 5 or 6 years. So, that kind of sucks. And, fortunately, in this case, with RTX having just happened, I think it doesn't hurt quite so much because I just saw those guys and I just saw everybody, so it's not quite so bad.
Yeah, and I kind of made my peace with the fact that there is a very good chance that I may never get a chance to go out to Seattle for PAX Prime. That said, I am due back in the city. It's been 5 years. I kind of miss it. I'm getting that West Coast itch again. If you have the West Coast itch, ask your doctor about...
Ask your doctor about visiting Obo Crazy. She can help. She has a futon in an apartment. Yeah, you should come on out. And I've said this multiple times, even without PAX passes, come to Seattle. One, chances are really good that you, in the weeks leading up to it, will find someone legitimately selling their passes, like me. And two, even if you don't find someone and you just come on out, there are so many people and so much to do outside of the convention that you're not going to get bored.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I kind of feel like the convention part of it isn't really the most thing that interests me these days. It's actually being able to see friends and hang out with people in that setting.
Yep.
So I don't think it would be a bad thing necessarily for me to fly out like a PAX weekend to either Seattle or San Antonio or Boston, even if I didn't have tickets, because I know I'd at least see people.
Absolutely. Absolutely, without question.
Yeah. Ooh.
And if anything, hanging out, PAX is awesome and PAX Prime is amazing, and the convention center in Seattle is amazing, but it's not necessarily the place you want to just sit around with people. You do want to leave and go somewhere else. And I do highly recommend just coming out. And it's happened before. And there's plenty of stuff to see in the area. You can wander around Pike's Place Market for an entire afternoon and not spend a dime and see some fabulous stuff and hang out with people.
And Broshkis, if you do want to spend dimes.
And in fairness, Pierogi, super cheap and really, really good. Super good.
So God. We went there, a group of us went to Seattle and we're hanging around the market, and that was one of the places we went. So the year after that, I met up with my cousin who lives in the Seattle area and met all my whatever her children are to me, I think they're
First
first
cousins, once
cousins once
removed.
removed. Yeah. So hung out with all of them, and we went to like Pierogi Pierogi. We got some delicious sandwiches and lemonade, and oh, it
Mm.
was just so good. We were so full. We just ate so much.
Listen, between Pierogi and the comic book store that's at the bottom of the Pike's Place Market, that's you could go and have a delicious pierogi and peruse comic books and have a fabulous time. And if the weather is good, it's a great view. I've never actually ridden the Ferris wheel, but I've heard that that's fantastic if you don't mind heights. So that is literally an entire afternoon right there, and
Yeah,
it's 4 or 5 blocks for the convention center and super fun.
I we went to that comic book store, and our good friend Otterby brought me a My Little Pony lanyard that I still have.
Aww.
Aw. Yeah, that's a fantastic comic book place, and they are super used to people just wandering in and browsing. So it is definitely a judgment-free zone. You can go in and just browse, and nobody's going to be breathing over your neck, and you can ask questions, and they're totally cool. Highly recommend. 2 thumbs up. I love how, despite the fact that none of us are officially going to PAX, this has slowly morphed into a PAX Prime guide to people who are visiting.
Yeah, I mean, between the two of you, you have a ton of experience when it comes to PAX Prime, so it makes sense for you to share the wealth.
Yeah,
I
and
liked the stuff
it
that Mary was doing with the PAX Pro tips,
yes,
and that was
Max and Grady.
yes.
They were both giving really good tips.
You know, one day it'll go without saying to shower every day. I'm hoping for that better day, but
You
Okay,
until
know,
so
now,
to be fair, it is during a convention. Things happen. Like it's weird because it's not real life. It's the convention.
sure,
So you exist not as yourself or not as your normal routine. So like for example, I drink lots of water. Like
true.
at work, I have a giant water bottle that I fill up with filtered ice water every day and drink it all several times over. If I go to a convention, I just don't ingest very many liquids because I'm not sitting anywhere working. I'm running around and doing stuff. And what's funny is that's exactly when you need to be drinking liquids. So
hmm
it's all backwards,
Or
and
worse yet, you're drinking the wrong kind of liquids that'll dry you out very quickly.
that also happens,
Yep.
and copiously. So it's like it's convention life is strange, and sometimes it just takes someone saying, hey, try and do this. Like I can't imagine walking out of my hotel room without a shower personally, but I could see someone if they got a call and like, hey, come down right now, we're hanging out with so and so, and they're asking about you. Okay, throw on some stuff, run out the door, and then you don't come back until later on. And I could see something like that happening. Like I said, personally, it doesn't happen to me, but I can see where these pro tips, even though, like you were saying, it should go without saying, kind of go with saying.
Oh, I'm
And
generally okay with the pro tips. It's just the shower one I feel like is a stickler for me. I
Yeah.
don't. You're personal just because you're out of town on vacation doesn't mean you gotta leave personal hygiene at the door. Given the choice between hanging out with Bernie Burns and getting clean after 24 hours of not showering, I love you, Bernie, but I'm gonna hit that shower first.
but that's
And
exactly what I'm saying. Is that you're out of your own routine. So I could see maybe not you, but someone else neglecting that, and they just need a gentle reminder. No, please don't neglect that
Yeah,
for the good of everyone.
that's
on a
true.
on a positive note, I will say RTX. I don't know if it was because the quality of attendees there were better about it. I don't know if everyone was just taking 20 million showers because it was hot as balls. But in general, I did not have a single problem with odors in any of the crowds the entire time at RTX, and people were walking between convention center and hotels in 100-degree heat, sometimes in costume. So the fact that I managed to go the entire weekend and not once be like, dude, why did you not deodorize this morning? I was super impressed by.
Yeah, I really didn't notice it either, and it was strange. Like I was talking with Nico actually on Sunday, and this was the longest phone call I've had in a long time, and it was with the Dirty Frenchman. I'm just kidding. I love you, Nico. But we were talking about how this RTX felt strange for a lot of us. It wasn't like the same sort of deals, and like for example, Nico said that he was really busy, so he didn't get to see nearly as many people as he wanted to, but he got a lot done. And I kind of feel like the same way. I feel like this was a very draining RTX, both like physically, emotionally, and just in general. But it was so worth it. It was also one of my favorite RTXs. One of the big reasons was our D&D panel. That was a big highlight. Someone at a Toastmasters meeting actually posed a tabletop question to me. What's your favorite summer highlight? And I'm like, well, it just happened 3 weeks ago.
Do we want to talk about the outcome of that game and what has happened since?
Let's sit on it for a little bit.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, I think that's going to be one of my few regrets if I can't somehow get into PAX. The last couple of years, there's basically been a few key things that I want to go see as far as panels. There's the Rooster Teeth panel, which I know I'm going to miss. I'm just not around Saturday. There's always an Ask the DM panel, which is put on by Wizards of the Coast and usually has Chris Perkins and Mike Merles and a whole bunch of other really amazing Wizards of the Coast D&D people who will answer questions and talk about tips for DMing, and that's always a fantastic panel. And so I'm hoping maybe if someone will lend me a pass for an hour, I can get in on that panel. There's also, and I don't know if they're doing it again this year, but Eric Neustetter, who usually is known by E for Xbox Live, he and Dan Amrich, and I'm forgetting the third gentleman's name, they've started doing a panel. They started with Three Old Guys Play Zork, and then they did Three Old Guys Play Falling Block Games. And so I don't know if they've got a third version of that, but that panel is always a lot of fun and a hoot and educational and entertaining. So those are the three things that like are the tent poles for me, because like a lot of the other big conventions, I've kind of given up on getting into the big convention panels. I've kind of just, I don't want to sit in that line. I don't want to sit in that line, not when a week or two later it's going to get posted online and I could watch it from the comfort of my own home. But those other smaller panels I definitely want to go to, and I don't know, maybe there'll be some kind soul who happens to want to go to lunch at the same time as one of those panels, and I could just borrow their pass and sneak on in and go see the panel. Bring some of my books to get signed by people, because that's always fun.
If you're a kind soul, tweet us at LibShark.
Just tweet at us. Don't tweet at us anything specific, and just tweet at GlibShark. That'll be amazing. But I am serious. If you are coming to Seattle for PAX, definitely let me know, because I will be around and I would love to see people. And because I've got no specific plans for at least the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I am just around to have some fun as long as it doesn't involve going inside the convention center.
I am actually planning on, it's going to be very strange because I think I have weekend plans, but I'm not sure yet. So hopefully I'll have enough stuff to do to keep my mind off PAX. And it's going to be tough, but it'll be, I'll find something good to do. Actually, if the weather permitting, I may go play golf.
I think this year...
You play golf? Since when?
He's played golf for a while.
Are you sure?
I think this year will be easier for you to keep your mind off than any other year, because I think a lot of our friends who would normally go to PAX, because PAX and RTX were so close together, I think a lot of people just couldn't afford to do both.
I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of people who were at both going there. Like I know our good friend D. Snyder, that's one of his big vacations is PAX Prime.
Sure.
Kiosh, most of the people who are at Seattle are going to be there. Present company excluded, of course. I I do. There are people who aren't going to be there, but I think a bunch of those people weren't going to be there anyway because PAX generally isn't on their dance card for the year. But I think a lot of the people who make an effort to go to PAX are going. I know. I don't think Grady is. I don't think he is going, but I could be wrong. And but I know Dom is putting on the
The side
like
quest
side
thing.
quest dinner, which was a
Yeah.
lot of fun last year. If you didn't go, I would recommend it because it was great.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. And that's another thing I'm gonna have to miss that I feel bad about, but I will be on the road at that point, so I can't. But hopefully I can hang out with some more people. It's also weird that it's not Labor Day weekend this year.
That is very weird.
I don't know why. I mean, it's probably partially because Labor Day is so friggin' late in the year, but who knows?
Yeah, it would be a little
Damn
easier
kids.
to do if it's a holiday weekend and all that. But I mean, it's just PAX Prime. Is just I always want to go. I always say, oh, maybe I can go this year, and then something comes up. There's always something that stands in the way of me going out there.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, who knows?
yeah, and luckily there are four PAXs, so maybe I can make South next year. We'll see.
Maybe we'll all go to Australia.
Ooh, PAX Aus. Like that. I've been thinking about this. Like, I think I'm actually, even despite my recent travel woes, I wouldn't mind having a gig where I'm always on the road, always traveling, always flying places. Because I can always see people. I know people all over the country. So, I don't know. Maybe I can look into something where I'm traveling and selling things, like soap. Maybe I could travel and be a traveling soap salesman.
What are you from the 1940s?
People don't buy soap anymore?
I don't think from
Not that
traveling
way. No,
salesman.
no.
No.
They mail ordered off the internet.
Uh,
Everything's off the internet these days.
that's true.
I I would I've thought about that before because I do have a lot of friends who travel for their jobs. And while that sounds nice, especially the friends who have gotten to basically live in Toronto for 3 months out of the year for their jobs, the one thing you can't do is take those days off. Like if you're needed on site, you're needed on site. So if let's say you wanted to take a Wednesday to travel to Philly for something, that's not happening. And like I said, as romantic as traveling all over the place does sound, I'm very glad that I have the flexibility to go wherever the hell I want when I want to. I've
Yeah,
always
and
thought
then
about that where
your
like
time being your own.
Yeah.
exactly.
And Spam, actually, our friend Spam Man, he is doing a traveling gig now. He's basically going from hotel to hotel, like making sure their Wi-Fi networks are up and running. That's why I was able to hang out with him last month. And he told me all the places he's going. And maybe for someone whose wife is finally home, maybe a traveling job is not the best fit for me at this point
I
in
was
my
about to
life.
say that's an odd thing for you to bring up the weekend before you bring Anju home.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby, I want to travel.
Well, we could both travel. We were actually talking about places we would live if we couldn't live in Philadelphia or something opportunity came up, and a couple of cities came up out of the blue that I didn't expect. I mentioned Austin, Los Angeles, Portland. She mentioned Phoenix, which I thought was interesting. There are worse places to end up than Arizona.
Uh, can I veto Arizona and say Seattle instead? And then if you really want a snowbird, you can. But I know several people with intimate experience of Arizona who could tell you details about why that is such a bad idea.
I mean, I already carry my passport card around with me anyway, so I figure if the cops pull me over, I can always prove, hey, look, I belong here. Can't kick me out. I'm an American. Sorry, guys. You can give me a ticket for speeding if you'd like. That's fine. That's probably more than fair. But Joe Arpaio is still there, right? I mean, it's amazing. The guy's like indicted for everything. I think he's still technically the sheriff, which is
Yeah,
nuts.
that doesn't surprise me.
But yeah, I mean, Seattle wouldn't be bad, except that I mean, how often do you guys get sun?
You know what? It's one of those things in where Buffalo, it just snows all the time. Oh, Chicago, it's the Windy City. You just get blown off the street all the time. Yeah, there is rain, but there's also plenty of days of sun. In fact, we've had way too much sun. We're deep in the drought that the West Coast is dealing with, and it's been sunny and gorgeous for like 4 or 5 months in a row now, and everybody's getting itchy because there's been no rain. So yeah, there is rain. You're going to get gloomy days, but it's no more than any other place. And you know what we don't have? If you're going to complain about our weather, we don't have tornadoes, we don't have hurricanes, we don't have tsunamis, we don't have snowstorms, we have fog and a little bit of rain. And eventually Mount Rainier will blow up and we'll all die. But until that moment, it'll actually be all okay.
Well, I think I would be more worried about the Yellowstone caldera, because not only will that take out Washington, it'll take out most of that quarter of the United States.
And
Yeah, but that'll be part of Mount Rainier blowing up. So once again,
well,
nah,
so to more to Obo's point, as many times as I've been to PAX, I can count the rainy days on one hand.
and September is usually one of the best times to be in Seattle. If you want to be here with the highest chance of sun and the least chance of rain, September is one of those months. We don't get snow, we get rain. So what everybody thinks of as the gloomy, rainy days of Seattle it's just our winter. It's just
Okay.
our winter is kind of dumpy.
Gotcha. So it's like more of a stereotype. Like if you go to Philadelphia, someone will hold a cheesesteak to their junk and slap you in the face with it.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
It is a stereotype that is based somewhat in fact, but is over exaggerated, like most stereotypes are.
Fair
I,
enough.
like,
We
my
don't all
mem-
kill robots, you know.
my memories of PAX are always outside, walking the streets and hanging out with people, like eating lunch al fresco. It's like my memories skew more to the walking between places for things rather than the things. Because usually when I'm walking, I'm actually talking to the people I'm with,
Yeah.
and that's what I remember.
I guess that's kind of fair. Like whenever I travel, I mean, I've been to Toronto enough times, like in a non Rooster Teeth capacity, that I have a sense of what the city's like. But with Austin, every time I'm there, it's because of Rooster Teeth business. Even the one time before RTX when I went, I ended up interviewing the guys from Rooster Teeth. Like this was 2007 or 2000, early 2008 actually. And I'm thinking, what is a town like if there are no RT people around to hang out with? And I don't know the answer to that because I've never had to face that situation.
It's pretty much like any other place, except since everyone is fucking moving to Austin, the traffic sucks.
Ugh.
And it's hot as balls.
Well, yeah, and that's just something you're going to get with South Texas.
Yeah, but there's an answer to that, and it's called beer pool, or pool
And air conditioning.
and air conditioning. That's what I've been doing like this whole summer. Like August has been oppressive, and only the last couple of days have been kind of nice. And I've actually had a chance. That's the first time I've ever spent any significant time on my porch or on my deck rather. Other than that, like during the most of the month, I'm just sitting here like walking as quickly as I can to here, turning up the air conditioning as hard as I can, and trying my best not to melt while I'm watching TV. And that's all I have the energy to do. I moved in here August 1st, and only today did I have the energy to put the legs back onto my couch.
You what? What? You legs
Yeah,
couch.
so like
come-
the actual like footstools or whatever, like to bring it into the room, I had to remove them, and they've been off, and it's just been sitting on the floor this whole time. Only today, under pressure from both my wife and one of my coworkers who helped me move in, did I finally have the trouble to put them on my couch.
Yeah, when Luke finally moves into our apartment, I had promised him that when I moved in, because I was going in first, that I wouldn't really decorate. And I did a tiny little bit of decorating because when things got delayed, I'm like, I need to put up a picture or two or something. I feel like I'm living in an asylum. And it was with the caveat that he was allowed to change anything. So it'll be interesting once we're both finally in the apartment, what he wants to change.
I kind of cheated. I didn't put anything on the walls, but I'm hanging them inside my bay windows. I have my photograph of by John Sedlak. I bought recently at RTX, or one recently at his panel. I have the Moroccan Mosque. I have 2 pictures of Barbara from RTX 2014 of the terrible puns in different colors, and my Paint Night special with Sasquatch raising his head, ready to attack a cabin. That's actually my, up until recently, it was my background on my Twitter page. Now my background is the image that you took of all of us hanging out at that sushi place.
That's a good picture.
It was a good picture. God, we all look so goofy. I'm just sitting there drinking things, like Izzy looks like a goof, Jonathan's up there. It's like an
Yeah.
album cover from a band. from the late 90s.
We look goofy because we are goofy. I
That's
love
true.
you guys, but
It's
we're all
actually-
goofs.
It's funny you mentioned that because there's a picture from RTX 2011 where it's me, Martha, Luke, and Jeff Williams, and we're all sitting on this bench in the hotel we were at, and we were just hanging out. And someone came and took a picture, and it looks like a band picture because we're all just kind of sitting there, like Martha's got her legs up on someone, and we're just kind of all we're just relaxing. Jeff kind of looks spacey because he's Jeff, and it looked like an album picture. And I think the caption that I went with on it was "I'm with the band."
It helps that you are hanging out with 3 other professional musicians, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I wish
2
I
other
could take
ones.
album band huh?
Does Luke play?
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so 2 other professional musicians. And Luke, who is very closely associated with a classical musician, so I guess kinda
Kind of by proxy, yeah.
Yeah.
close enough for jazz. Although classical album covers are boring. I wish classical album covers were like rock album covers. They would be amazing, but they're all just smiling pictures of people in concert black holding their instruments or nature scenes.
Oh my gosh, you guys! Breaking news: pumpkin spice season has begun.
What?
It is upon us.
It's not even September yet. What the fuck?
Right? Like I just
What?
posted on Facebook. Apparently, Wawa, which is like a local like 7-Eleven slash Sheetz type franchise that serves what you may call submarine sandwiches or grinders, but we call hokies out east, and coffee and gasoline, and they're a
Right.
convenience store.
They have their pumpkin spice.
They have their pumpkin spice, which means it'll be in Starbucks before you know it. I mean, if not
Ugh.
already. So
Just
I've
in
been-
time for PAX.
that's right.
That's true.
Get your white girl on, everybody.
I actually okay. This is a story that actually involves Lauren and Luke. A couple of years ago, we went to a Microsoft little gathering at one of the Microsoft stores, kind of away from downtown, and we were standing in line waiting to see if we could get in, and there was a Starbucks nearby, and they were getting a delivery. So I look in the back of the truck, and they have boxes of the pumpkin spice. So I text our good friend Amy T. Falcone and say, "Hey, do you want me to jack this truck for you?" and she's like, "Yes, please."
You know, I make fun of the fact that pumpkin spice is back, but I am a cliche white girl. I really do like pumpkin spice lattes. I just feel like Christmas, we're getting them too soon.
I am so basic. I love them too.
There's nothing wrong with a good pumpkin spice latte. I think we're just getting inundated. They're like zombies from a couple years ago. It's now everywhere, and we're getting sick of just how much there is, even though they're kind of awesome.
Breakfast for dinner, up is down, candy canes now. There are no rules.
So our cafe at work serves Starbucks, and I think they got a lot of the pumpkin spice like flavoring because they had pumpkin spice up until I want to say February, and I actually texted a picture of a pumpkin spice latte that I had gotten there to our friend Lauren, and she's like, "You are so fucking basic." I'm like, "It was on sale. It was $1.99 any size."
Oh, nice.
Because they're trying to get rid of it.
Well, that's just a good deal.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yep.
You can't turn down a good deal just because, I mean, it's not the theme of the podcast. We're not going to shame anybody for liking a pumpkin spice latte. Like what you like.
Yeah.
Shame. Pumpkin
Shame.
spice. Shame.
Pumpkin shame.
Pumpkin shame latte.
Pumpkin shame.
Hold on, I gotta write that down.
I had a feeling that one will win.
Well, I will definitely report back next week on the show with who I've seen and what we have done and all of that funness. And hopefully a lot of people will be stopping by wherever Luke and I are hanging out outside the convention center.
So
God.
ostensibly, our show will be the PAX After Action Report, but really I'll disguise it by saying it's our look back at the 80s sitcom Benson. Or Mr.
Sure.
Belvedere.
Is that a new thing?
It's kind of what I'm doing. I used to always talk about what we're talking about, but since we talk about whatever we want, it's just easier to use it as filler.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't like it, I can always just do something else.
Well, we'll see
I
how
love that begrudging. Okay.
We'll see how it sits. I just wanted to point out that this is episode 420.
Wow. Well, blaze up, blazing it.
Blaze it, blaze it.
Not until I know I don't have to pee in a cup for an orchestra. Sorry.
Colorado and Washington represent.
Yay.
I
I would
don't.
also rather eat brownies than smoke because, musician. Lungs.
Don't you live in Oklahoma? If you even think about pot, don't they put you in jail?
No, no, no. Oh, sweet summer child. No.
I mean, I'm not. To be honest, I'm not a big pot guy. So
I'm not either. I mean, I've only imbibed via edibles. Again, asthmatic, former musician, so no smoke for me. But yeah, it's just not something. It's not something I'm like, oh yeah, when's my next bite?
it's also expensive.
I have never tried, but I have said to Luke that at some point when I know I'm going to be safe from having to pee in a cup, despite the fact I live in Washington, they can still make you take a drug test.
Sure.
I am going to one of these days, because I've never tried. For being a professional musician, I'm pretty boring. I'm going to get myself a special brownie and put myself in a safe place, and I'm going to eat, and I'm probably going to just fall asleep because...
And that's how Oboe became a jazz musician.
Honestly,
yeah, man, I just had this special brownie, and now I'm all into the jazz, Oboe.
Hey, man, are you still married to my sister? Nah, she died.
I apparently get really talkative, like even more so, and I remember talking a lot, and people said I talked a lot. Yeah,
I look forward to it the same way I look forward to when I get a little buzzed on alcohol, which is all the pain in my jaw goes away and I feel very relaxed. If that's all that happens, I'll be super happy.
You have jaw pain? I guess
Not
you would.
TMJ.
I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Oh, I thought you could. Yeah, well, I don't talk about it too much. But yeah, I've had TMJ for most of my adult life. So... And it stems directly from, oh God, long story, super short. I used to make reeds badly, and it gave me TMJ. And so now,
What's TMJ stand for?
It's a joint disorder.
Okay.
It's basically I have no more cartilage between my top and bottom jaw.
Wow.
Most people get it from grinding their teeth at night. So they clench and they grind their teeth at night, and they slowly wear away that cartilage, and then. If you ever hear me, here you go, folks. Go back and listen to the podcast. Sometimes you can hear my jaw clicking when it's really bad. I usually mute myself if I know that I'm going to click pretty badly. But yeah.
And yet, when you're angry typing, the microphone is wide open.
Yeah, angry typing. But yeah, it's one of those things that it's managed pain at this point, and it's when I'm doing all the right things and I'm stretching and I'm not I have good reads and all of that, then it usually doesn't bother me. But when I get stressed, or if I'm bad about my practicing, or if I'm bad about my reed making, or, then it comes back and I can have some pretty bad jaw pain. So yeah, there you go, kids. Learn your shit before you play the oboe.
Words to live by. If ever there were words to live by.
Wise words from a most professional musicians have some sort of musician related injury. I've been lucky that I've avoided a lot of other things that could be much more painful, much more detrimental to my career. But for those that know that I went back to school for a couple of years, and that's how I ended up in Akron, Ohio, the specific reason was to fix my reeds so that I stopped having jaw pain.
Oh,
That was the literal reason. I put myself in a lot of debt to fix how I made reeds so that I could play oboe consistently again. So yes, I will be paying off my school loans for the rest of my life, but I now have a career again. So
and potentially a reason for a prescription for your chronic jaw pain.
There you go. If I ever want to, I actually have I don't know. I don't know if they actually prescribe. I don't know. Whatever. Every once in a while, I just have a drink or some ibuprofen. It's okay.
There you go. And we all have conditions like that. So, I mean, I'm hard of hearing in my left ear.
I'm perfect in every way.
He's practically perfect in every way.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
Which qualifies Jonathan to babysit like children in England.
I will say, I will say that I have been told my dick is too large. So there.
That's the kind of answer when you're in an interview and they're like, tell us
All your
something bad
flaws.
tell us about your
Your
flaws. It's
flaws.
like,
Well,
well,
it kind of hurts to have sex with me, so there we
I'm
go.
too critical of myself. That's one of those, humble brags. God
Yeah,
damn.
it's like one of those things where it's like certain part of my anatomy is too distracting in the workplace.
And that's where we should end the episode.
Fucking hell, no. Let's not end it on my penis.
We must end on your penis.
Wow, so if you're at PAX and you want to show us something, tweet us at GlibShark or individually at OboCrazy, him at Road_Block, or myself at Jack Edithil, E for Edward, D for David, A for Apple, T for Thomas, H for Halo, I for Island, L for Lily. Our sound producer is Jonathan, distracting in the workplace, Cerna.
Stop! No, my eyes are up here.
Our announcer is the inimitable voice actor Bob Ball. Our music is composed by our longtime friend Linnea Boyev.
Oh, wait.
We have more?
I have a report. Last
Oh.
week we wanted to talk about Fallout Shelter because I went on a little bit of a rant.
You
And-
wanted to talk about Fallout Shelter.
Well, the point was that I had quit the game, right? And I was done with it and completely just through.
And
My current vault has 124 dwellers. It's huge.
Kel Sorpesa.
damn you, Bethesda! Damn you!
It's actually a really good vault.
Wow.
Are you having fun?
Yes.
That's all
Well,
that
then
matters.
that's all that matters. Have you bought any lunch boxes?
No.
Okay, that's good.
The
That's
only
good that you're
thing
having
that
fun
I
with
might
Kirby.
I might buy there's a $4 like pack you can buy that comes with like a couple of packs of cards and a couple of these robots that gather resources for you. I'm to the point where I'm actually considering blowing $4 on these fucking robots so that I don't have to constantly tap everything. Because my vault is so large at this point that it's just shitting resources all over the place.
Wow.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what I told you last time we were talking about this. When it comes to these free-to-play games, if you're at the point in where you feel like the game has earned some money from you, there is no shame in spending a little bit of money and giving the developers back some money. I think that's perfectly fine.
That's a money decent thing.
Yeah, I just spent 15,000 resources or monies on upgrading my Nuka-Cola plant.
And that's in-game money.
In-game money, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's a
You
lot.
said right after what I said, I'm like, wait a second. How much did you? What? Are you a whale
No.
now? What
I'm
happened?
not a whale.
No.
But yes, I just did a big upgrade and yeah. So but it has been fun. It's been the kind of micromanaging that is enjoyable. I know one of our friends, John Sharp, Crazy Boy, actually made a spreadsheet for his. I don't need any of that. I'm good.
Well, that's fair. I'm actually playing Fallout Shelter as well, although I'm kind of in the position you were in last week where I'm kind of like low on everything, and I'm trying to find every way possible to sort of maximize my resources, but nothing appears to be working.
Yeah,
I'm playing Halo.
actually, speaking of games, we were talking about Destiny and how this week is a good week for Skolas and of all of our adventures and stuff. I am really looking forward to Halo 5. That is the big game that I am looking forward to now.
When's it coming out again?
October something?
27th.
Yeah.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's another game I'm super excited about. They just released a bunch of song titles for Rock Band 4, and I sort of made a YouTube playlist so I know what some of these more obscure songs sound like. Because like the Foo Fighters song, I'd never heard of. It's not one of their singles. So
I am super excited about Rock Band. I just can't afford to buy it or any of the peripherals.
Can you use the stuff from the Xbox 360 or no?
I believe they are going to sell an adapter.
Oh, that's perfect.
So what'll probably it'll be some sort of like For the USB instruments, I'm not sure. I'm just speaking glibly. That's what we do. I believe it'll be like a hub that'll connect to the 360 wire or the Xbox One wirelessly, and then or it might just go into one of the USB 3 ports. I'm not sure. And then for the wireless instruments, I'm not sure how they'll do that.
That can work. But
Yeah, I got rid of all of my stuff a very, very long
But
time
I
ago.
interrupted the end credits, and I'm sorry.
You
Yeah.
did. But we'll have to pick up this pace next week. But until then, on behalf of Lauren Urban, Jonathan Cerna, and the entire Glibshark staff, this is Jack Edithel saying good night, good health, and tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes! That was from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Thank you, because there would be no way that we would have figured that out.
Well, I mean, if you were born after 1992, as most of our audience was, maybe not.
If you're born after 1992, then you owe it to yourself to watch Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Movie and animated series.
Yes. Okay, no, wait, not the animated series.
Well, it wasn't that bad.
Okay, I have to go because I literally, I am still at work. I just plugged my headset into my work computer to do this, or else, as
Okay.
I said, I wasn't going to get home. Are we still streaming?
I can fix that.
Thanks for listening, streamers.
Thank you, streamers!